I'm your NDP candidate for Hamilton Mountain, and I'm pleased to see you all today. We're honored to live and work on the traditional and ancestral territories of the Erie, Neutral, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Mississaugas. This land is covered by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant and Between the Lakes Purchase Agreement between the Crown and the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nations. So I'm proud to be here today, and I am proud to be a New Democrat. Each and every day, we hear from our constituents, we hear from our neighbors how hard life has gotten. Knocking on doors, talking to seniors, hearing every day how hard it is to keep food on the table, to be able to pay the growing bills has become a struggle for far too many here in Hamilton Mountain and right across the country. So I'm proud to be here with my friend Jagmeet Singh. Welcome back to Hamilton Mountain, and of course my friend Michelle Pottery, who has joined us here today. So Jagmeet, would you like to kick us off?
Yeah, for sure. So thanks so much, Monique. We're really proud to have Monique as our candidate. Monique's someone that is a proven fighter for the people of Hamilton Mountain. I know her since we were in legislature together in Ontario. Someone that's really dedicated to the people of this community and someone who's going to fight hard for you. So proud that you're on the team. Look forward to becoming the next member of parliament. Today we want to talk about what folks are up against. We've got some serious times in front of us. The cost of living already for folks, people are really feeling squeezed. The high cost of groceries, high cost of rent, finding a home you can afford, it's really tough. People are feeling really squeezed. And on top of that, with the threats of Donald Trump, people are worried that this trade war, one that we did not want, one that we did not start, but we've got to fight back and defend our country, might mean that the costs are going to go up even higher. So we have a plan to fight back against that, a plan to fight back to give people relief. But just to talk a bit more about what it is right now, what it feels like right now with the high cost of living, I wanted to invite Michelle to share a bit of what it's like, how expensive things are, and why it's so important for us to fight back with a plan to give folks like Michelle and thousands of people like Michelle out there across Hamilton, Ontario, and across Canada, something that will help them know that, you know, we're fighting for you and here's a plan to give you relief. So maybe Michelle, you can talk a bit about what it's like right now for you and what you're feeling when you look at the bills, when you go buy groceries, when you're paying your monthly bills. What is it like for you?
Sure. Well, it's very tough. So like many Canadians, I am a single mother. I work, so it's a little bit hard, to juggle the working life and raising a child. But I have to work a lot more hours than I used to now to be able to make ends meet. So it's a struggle. It's hard. I feel guilty not being able to spend much time with my daughter as I used to. And then it's also, difficult because my daughter is 14 years old, but she's also special needs. She has autism. So she's not able to take care of herself. So she's at an age where there is no child care. Like, what do you do after school? She can't walk home. She can't take care of herself. So I pick her up and I usually just work at home. Like, I've gotten a flexible job now where I can work my own hours, but it means I have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I have to work an hour, 2 hours before I get her ready for school. I have to bring her to school. I go to the office, I work, and then I pick her up, make dinner, and then a lot of the times I work till almost bedtime just to pay my bills. So it's definitely a struggle that a lot of Canadians are going through. Mm-hmm. And I've been through a lot of situations like, rent evictions. I went through 4 years straight with homes being up for sale, which has been pretty difficult. So it's I've had to move twice now. So now you're, moving into smaller places, but you're spending hundreds of dollars more. So that means you got to work more. That means you got less time for your family. So it's just definitely a very, hard situation that a lot of people are going through. It's just tough nowadays to afford everything.
Tell me a bit about groceries. Like we were chatting about the grocery bills. It's one of those bills that we really worry about now, like trying to get everything that your family needs. What's that like for you?
Exactly. Well, it's more difficult. It means that, you have to watch where you buy now. Sometimes you choose different stores or you buy stuff on sale. Sometimes you choose to buy different things. So it's definitely different than what it was, 5 years ago. I never even thought about food. And, now you have to think about, a lot of stuff. Yeah.
And what would it mean for you to be able to get some relief? Like if you were able to save on your taxes, if you were able to get relief, what would it mean for you and your family to know that things would cost a bit less? Like what would that do for you?
It would mean a lot. It would mean that maybe I wouldn't have to work so much. You know, I can do more stuff with my daughter. I can spend more time. I wouldn't have to feel as, you know, guilty working as many hours as I could. So it definitely would be, you know, a help for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think a lot of parents relate to that feeling of guilt as a mom or a dad that we're not able to spend as much time with their kids because we got to work so hard.
Yeah.
And so, you know, for you, Michelle, and for folks out there listening, this is what our plan is. We want to fight back against that uncertainty. And folks are like, well, you know, things are already so hard. It's only going to get harder if the trade war drives up the cost of groceries and other bills. So here's our plan. This is what we want to do. First off, for the first $19,500 that someone earns, no tax on that. We want to make sure zero on that, and to give some people some more relief that way. So for the first $19,500 that people earn, zero tax. And that'll give people a savings. We want to take the GST permanently off of your monthly bills that are essential. So that would be your internet, your cell phone, your home heating, and take it off of daily necessities like grab-and-go groceries, so like a rotisserie chicken at the grocery store, and children's clothing. And then for seniors and people living with disabilities, we know that the impact of things getting more expensive is going to hit them even harder. So we want to plan to lift up seniors. So we want to double the disability credit, so the disability benefit, and that disability benefit needs to be increased. We want to double it. And then we want to increase the GIS. And that's going to help a lot of seniors lift them out of poverty by increasing the GIS. Our plan helps middle-class folks the most. And the difference is that we've noticed from the other plans that are out there, the Liberals and Conservatives, their plan is one that helps millionaires the most. Mark Carney put forward a plan that's going to help millionaires more than it helps people like you, and I think that's wrong. Pierre Poilievre, same thing. His plan is going to help out the richest Canadians more than it helps out middle-class, middle-income folks. Again, I think that's wrong. And so that's our plan. Our plan is one, to fight back, to give you relief, and with these three pillars, I think it's going to really help people out. In total, at a minimum, it's going to save $1,450 for families, and that's $1,450 more back in your pocket. And I think that's the right thing to do right now. It's going to help us weather the storm of this trade war and the potential uncertainty that comes with it. And I'm looking forward to putting forward more and more plans that put people first, not the billionaires or not the CEOs, but everyday folks like you, Michelle. And I'll do that again in French, and then we'll take some questions from the media. Donc, on a entendu le plan de Michel, la situation de Michel. Dans ces temps difficiles, on a des gens comme Michel et plusieurs Canadiens qui ont peur parce que la vie est déjà trop chère. Ça coûte trop cher pour faire l'épicerie, pour payer les loyers, pour payer les factures. Et avec la menace de Donald Trump, ça veut dire que le coût de la vie peut augmenter encore plus. Et ça, c'est tellement difficile pour les familles qui, dans cette situation, ont des grandes difficultés à rejoindre les deux bouts. Donc, on a un plan pour se tenir debout contre les attaques de Donald Trump et pour défendre les gens. Notre plan a 3 éléments. Premièrement, pour les premières 1 500 $, vous allez payer 0 taxe sur ce montant. Ça va aider les familles, ça va réduire les taxes pour les familles. Ça va aider, notre plan va aider disproportionnellement la classe moyenne. Parce qu'on pense que ça, c'est les gens qui ont besoin d'aide, la classe moyenne. Deuxièmement, on va enlever la TPS dans une façon permanente sur vos factures mensuelles et sur les choses essentielles. Je parle de nourriture, de repas préparés à l'épicerie, pas de TPS. Et sur vos factures cellulaires et votre facture d'Internet et chauffage de maison, on va enlever le TPS. Et finalement, on sait qu'avec l'incertitude de la guerre commerciale, ça veut dire qu'on a une potentiel d'inflation, d'augmentation des prix, et ça veut dire que pour les personnes les plus vulnérables, ça peut avoir un impact tellement difficile. Donc, pour les personnes qui vivent en situation de handicap, on va doubler la prestation, et pour nos aînés, on va augmenter la prestation pour les personnes âgées vulnérables. Ça va aider les gens, ça va sortir les personnes âgées, de la pauvreté, et c'est une façon de vraiment aider la classe moyenne et monsieur, madame, tout le monde. Au contraire, au plan des libéraux, par exemple, et Mark Carney, son plan va aider les millionnaires plus de la classe moyenne. Et avec Pierre Poilievre, même chose, son plan aussi va aider les millionnaires plus que la classe moyenne, et je pense que c'est la mauvaise chose à faire. And just closing up, I want to point out something. We learned recently that Mark Carney was personally responsible for 2 funds. He's the chair of Brookfield Investments, but he's personally responsible for 2 funds totaling $25 billion. And while he was chair, he chose to register those 2 funds, even though they're Canadian, he chose to register them in Bermuda for the sole reason of avoiding paying taxes. Right now it's tax season. Hardworking Canadians are paying their taxes. They can't choose to register in Bermuda to avoid paying taxes. They got to pay them here. And they do that because they believe that we contribute to our healthcare system. We contribute to taking care of each other. When we pay our taxes, we're paying into a program that lifts each other up. Well, Mark Carney was not just the chair of this entire company, but personally responsible for these 2 funds. He chose to register in another country to avoid paying those taxes. That's less money for healthcare, less money for seniors. That's less investments in our country. And so now, just a couple months later, he wants to be prime minister. A couple months ago, he was avoiding paying taxes in our country, and now he wants to be prime minister. It makes me wonder, is he going to be working for families, for people like Michelle, or is he going to continue to favor the companies that he worked for, like Brookfield? Is he going to allow them to get away with skirting, paying their fair share? Allow them to continue to register in other countries so that they don't pay their fair share? Will he favor those companies, or will he stand up for Canadians? I think these are fair questions, and I think it disturbs me, and I'm sure Canadians are going to hear that and be disturbed as well. Donc finalement, je veux dire que dans ce temps où on paye les taxes, et on sait que c'est important de payer des taxes parce qu'on contribue dans le bien commun, on contribue dans notre système de santé, on contribue dans les pensions. On pense qu'on doit prendre soin les uns des autres. Mais on vient d'apprendre que Mark Carney était responsable pour 2 fonds qui ont un total montant de plus de 25 milliards de dollars quand il était président de Brookfield Investments. Il a décidé d'enregistrer ces 2 fonds dans les autres pays, dans Bermuda, pour éviter de payer des taxes au Canada. Et il y a seulement quelques mois qu'il était le président de cette entreprise. Et maintenant, il se présente pour un candidat d'être Premier ministre, et il est Premier ministre. Donc, je pense que ça soulève des questions. Est-ce qu'il va continuer de favoriser les grandes entreprises comme laquelle il était le président il y a quelques mois, ou est-ce qu'il va aider vraiment les gens? Je pense que ça soulève des questions, c'est inquiétant, et je suis inquiété. Je pense que les Canadiens vont être inquiétés aussi. With that, I'm ready for any questions you might have.
Oui, merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. We'll take the question from the press, 1 question and 1 follow-up by each reporter. On va prendre les questions de la presse, une question et une question de suivi. On va commencer avec Juliane Lapointe, Radio-Canada.
Bonjour, M. Singh. Justement, sur le sujet dont vous venez de parler, à la lumière de ce que nous apprend mon collègue Daniel Leblanc aujourd'hui, qu'est-ce que vous croyez que Mark Carney doit faire? Quelles actions concrètes il doit faire maintenant?
Je pense que ce que son bilan montre, et on a plus en plus de preuves, ça montre qu'il est là pour défendre les intérêts des ultra-riches. Et ça, c'est la question que j'ai soulevée au début. Je pense qu'il y a plus en plus d'informations qui soulèvent, qui montrent ça. Le fait qu'il a profité de la crise du logement, et c'était une stratégie par exprès de son entreprise de trouver du logement abordable, acheter ses immeubles et puis augmenter les prix pour effectivement exploiter les gens qui travaillent fort. Je pense que ça met en question ses priorités. Est-ce qu'il est vraiment là pour vous, ou est-ce qu'il est là pour protéger les profits des grandes entreprises? Et cette nouvelle information, le fait qu'il a par exprès récemment Il y a quelques mois, elle était le président de cette entreprise. Elle était responsable personnellement pour ces 2 fonds. Elle a choisi par exprès d'enregistrer ces fonds dans un autre pays pour éviter de payer des taxes. Ce n'est pas le bon leadership. Ce n'est pas quelqu'un qui met l'intérêt du Canada. Parce qu'on sait que la contribution des taxes, ça contribue à notre soin de santé, à nos pensions et les services. Donc, elle a décidé d'éviter de contribuer, malgré le fait que c'était une entreprise canadienne. Donc, tout ça montre le fait qu'il n'est pas là pour vous. Et je suis ici pour dire que je suis là pour vous. Je suis là pour monsieur, madame, tout le monde.
In English, what you think Mr. Carney should do?
Yeah, I think what we're seeing again and again is just more examples of Mark Carney showing Canadians that he's not in it for you. Like he was the head of a company that profited off of the backs of Canadians during the housing crisis. And that was a strategic decision of his entire company to find affordable buildings where hardworking people were paying affordable rent, to buy those buildings and jack up the rent, to make profits off the backs of people. And now we've learned that he was personally responsible for 2 funds totaling a significant amount of money that on purposely set up and registered in another country to avoid paying taxes. And I think all this questions who he's in it for. Is he really in it for you, or is he in it for the super rich? And I think there's more and more proof showing us that he's not in it for you, that he's in it for the folks that he worked for before, the company that he worked for before, not for you.
Vous n'avez pas dit ce que vous allez faire concrètement, mais mes collègues vont se faire un plaisir de vous relancer là-dessus. Je change de sujet pour vous demander, M. Singh, pourquoi vous avez été prudent sur la gaffe de Mark Carney à propos de Polytechnique? Est-ce que c'est parce que vous croyez que c'est pas grave ce qu'il a fait, ce qu'il a dit hier?
Non, c'est tellement grave. Qu'est-ce que vous avez posé comme question?
Mais vous n'avez... 1, 2, 3, oui. Vous avez volontairement décidé, votre équipe, de ne pas commenter ce que Mark Carney a dit hier, le fait qu'il se soit trompé dans le nom de famille de Nathalie Provost et qu'il se soit trompé pour Polytechnique.
Yes,
vous avez décidé volontairement de ne pas commenter ça. Est-ce qu'on peut donc vous demander, est-ce que c'est parce que vous croyez que c'est pas grave?
Non, pas du tout. C'est tellement grave. Parce que ce qui s'est passé à l'école polytechnique, c'est horrible. Et tout le monde au Canada, tous les gens savent le moment qu'on s'est passé. C'était un des attentats les plus horribles où les femmes étaient ciblées. C'est une attaque contre les femmes. C'est un exemple des dangers de violence contre les femmes et les filles. C'est horrible. Je suis un père de 2 filles. Et je sais qu'on est toujours dans un pays et dans un monde où il y a plus de violence contre des filles. Et je veux faire tout ce que je peux pour garantir que l'avenir de mes filles, mes 2 petites filles que j'adore, qui n'ont pas des victimes de violence. Et le fait que le Premier ministre ne rappelle pas de le pire attentat contre les femmes et il mélange les événements. L'école polytechnique, c'est clair, c'est un attentat, c'est un massacre horrible contre les femmes. Et c'est toute notre responsabilité de toujours rappeler ce qui s'est passé et pour nous engager à dire on va faire tout ce qu'on peut pour arrêter ces sortes de violences contre les femmes. Et le fait qu'un candidat pour le Premier ministre est assez déconnecté d'histoire de notre pays, d'histoire du Québec, et il ne comprend pas la différence entre Polytechnique et Concordia, ça montre quelqu'un qui ne prend pas au sérieux la violence contre les femmes. Parce que
English.
this is very serious. One of the most horrible attacks in the history of our country against women was the massacre of women at École Polytechnique. It's engraved in the memories of Canadians. And to mix that up with another school, I mean, this is something that people remember exactly where they were the moment they found out about this attack. And we have all a collective responsibility to fight back against violence against women. I'm a dad of 2 daughters. I want my daughters to grow up safe. I don't want them to be in any way victims of violence. And we all have a collective responsibility to fight back against violence, to make sure women and young girls are safe. And for a Prime Minister candidate to not remember or to mix up something as serious as that. This is the most serious attack and massacre of women in our history. It's something that everyone in Quebec knows about. And to mix them up shows that he's out of touch with Quebec and out of touch with the historic tragedies that have happened in our country.
Thank you very much. Next question.
Hi, Mr. Singh, Taria, Isri Global News. We're in Hamilton, nicknamed Steel Town, and it's arguably the city most affected by the tariffs that are currently in place. So why is there no policy announcement on tariff relief?
We've talked about that a number of times. We put forward our plan on how we would stand up for the hardworking people of the city. And in fact, because of our commitment to the steelworkers, we received the endorsement of the Steelworkers Union, representing the union and the workers the hardest impacted. We received their endorsement because we understand their plight. I've showed up to the picket lines with these workers. I've been shoulder to shoulder with them, and I've demanded what they've asked for in terms of supports. They've said we need a plan that gives workers relief, that helps workers out that are being impacted by the tariffs. I've been calling for that from day one. And I've actually criticized the Liberal government for not putting in place protections for those workers. They've said we've got nothing in place for us to be able to cover our bills. I was the first to come out and say workers need to be put first. Mark Carney, as Prime Minister, when he was Prime Minister before the election was called, had time to go to Europe, had time to meet the King, had time to put in a tax cut for millionaires, but didn't put in place protections for those steelworkers. I was critical of that. I called that out, and I said that repeatedly. I met with the steelworkers and did roundtables with them as soon as these tariffs were announced and while they were being implemented, to hear from them directly. And they said we need a plan to support our workers. And secondly, they said we need a plan to build Canadian by Canadian. And that's why I said we need a plan where if we build any infrastructure in this country, any buildings, any roads, any bridges, we use Canadian steel, 100% Canadian steel, and 100% Canadian workers to do that. That's a plan to build up an economy that's more resilient. And I've laid that forward. And then we need to diversify where we're selling. And so we're not just relying on the United States, and I've called for that as well. And that's why the steelworkers, who are the union that is the hardest hit, endorsed me and the New Democrats, because they know folks like Monique Taylor and I are the ones that have their back and will always have their back.
You've announced a plan to supplement GIS. Mr. Poilievre is also trying to sway seniors with a series of announcements today, including lower taxes and changes to RRSP contributions. So why is your plan for seniors more convincing than his?
Well, first of all, Pierre Poilievre has had to flip-flop on his increasing the pension age. He, when he was in cabinet and the Conservatives, increased the age of receiving pensions. They increased the age of retirement. They literally attacked seniors and said they have to work harder and work longer before they can retire. That's what they did when they were in power. And he promised to do it again. It's his plan to do it again, and now he's flip-flopping on it. And we know that that is a lie. He is going to attack seniors the way he did before, so he's now trying to make it sound like he's not going to do that. We know he's going to do that. Conservatives cut. They want to cut pensions. He promised, right when he became leader in 2022, he promised in a plan clearly that he would cut the contributions for pensions in EI. Everybody knows if you cut the contributions, you're cutting the benefit. How can you have the benefit without the contribution? So he wants to attack pensions. And now he's trying to make a play, say, oh no, I'm not going to do that. We know what he's going to do. He's told us what he's going to do, and he's done it before. So don't trust Pierre Poilievre when he says he's not going to come after your pensions. He will. He's promised to do so. He's done it before. He's going to do it again. What makes our plan better is, one, our plan helps seniors who need it most. His plan is a tax cut that will help anyone that earns even $1 million a year. Our focus on increasing the GIS goes after the fact that there are seniors living in poverty. We want to lift them out of poverty. We're going to help the seniors that need it most. Our tax plan helps middle-class families, families like Michelle's, people that actually need the help. We're hardworking Canadians need the help. Millionaires don't need help. And the plan of Pierre Poilievre will mostly help millionaires out. Our plan will mostly help out middle class. That's the difference.
Thank you. Next media.
Good morning, Mr. Singh. Rachel Aiello, CTV News. So your plan today is focused on who you say are the Canadians that are hurting the most right now. But with recession concerns so high, are you not concerned that putting this many more billions onto the deficit will hurt the entire economy?
Well, we want to do it in a very targeted way. So the other folks are proposing spending even more money because they're proposing even bigger tax cuts for millionaires. Ours is very focused on the middle class. Not just those who are the hardest impacted, but also the middle class. And so we're saying let's target families that actually need relief, middle class families, lower income families. And that's where we're targeting our supports. The Liberals and Conservatives, their plans will actually help out millionaires the most. That is a bad use of our funds. So we're very focused on who we're helping, and we want to help those that are impacted by the tariffs, that actually need the supports, not the billionaires, not the millionaires, but everyday working families. Donc, les autres plans des libéraux et des conservateurs, ça va coûter beaucoup d'argent. Et en fait, le fait qu'ils vont donner plus d'argent aux millionnaires, c'est une mauvaise dépense d'argent. Notre plan, ça cible la classe moyenne, les gens à moyen revenu, à faible revenu, parce que ce sont les gens qui sont les plus frappés. Et on va les aider. Et ça montre pour qui on se bat. On se bat pour vous, pour monsieur, madame, tout le monde, pas pour les millionnaires.
What is your specific plan to actually crack down on tax evaders and try to find the money that you're going to need to pay for this? More money for the CRA, for example. How are you planning to get the funds you need?
Yeah, CRA came out with a really clear report a couple of years ago saying there's a clear path where there are tax cheats. This is not increasing taxes on the wealthiest. This is simply what they owe, what they're supposed to pay, and what they're not paying. And their reports show there's billions and billions of dollars of revenue that we're losing because of these tax cheats, who are mostly large corporations who have significant revenue and basically are cheating the system. We're going to go after those folks. And the way to do that is CRA has pointed to increased, one is just direction to go after them. And just simply having the mandate to do it would help. Secondly, making sure we've got the adequate staff levels at the CRA to go after the tax cheats. The revenue that we could gain from this is significant, and it would help pay for our program.
Next question.
Hi, Mr. Singh. Christy Kirkup with the Globe and Mail. The Globe is reporting today that Liberals revoked MP Chandra Arya's bid for party leadership, as well as his nomination in his riding over alleged foreign interference concerns involving India, specifically that Mr. Arya took a trip to India last August and he met with Prime Minister Modi. What is your reaction to this?
Well, I've said I'm really disappointed with the fact that we've got both the Liberals and Conservatives who've not been taking foreign interference seriously. It's literally a question of our democracy. I love our country. I love this country. I want to do everything possible to defend it. And I can't understand a leader who's presenting themselves as a candidate to be prime minister who wouldn't want to do the same, to do everything possible to protect our country. So on one hand, you got Pierre Poilievre, who knew about allegations directly that a foreign government interfered in his own leadership race and refused to get a security clearance and to find out what's going on. I think that's a complete abdication of your responsibility as a leader. Like, as a leader, I want to know everything possible about any threats to our democracy. And to me, it shows you someone that wanted to put his party ahead of his country. That's the wrong thing to do. And with the Liberals, they knew about this information. Presumably, the top, the cabinet knew about this information, those with security clearance for a long time. And they failed to act for so long. So Chandra Arya, what information did he receive when he was sitting in government caucus? What was he learning in government caucus for so long before they took this action? I mean, they ought to have known about this before. And if they didn't know about it, there's a failure there. If they knew about it and didn't act, that's even worse. So you've got two parties that have not put our country first. My commitment to you is I will always put Canada first. I will fight as hard as I can to defend our democracy, to defend the people. And that's what I'm going to do. Oui. Oui, c'est pour moi, ce que ça montre, les nouvelles concernant Chandra Arya, ça montre encore le fait qu'on a deux partis, le Parti libéral et le Parti conservateur, avec des exemples où ils, au lieu de défendre notre pays, défendent le parti. J'adore notre pays. J'aime le Canada. Et comme chef de notre parti, je veux faire tout ce que je peux pour défendre mon pays. Mais on a des exemples maintenant des deux partis. Pierre Poilievre, qui a reçu l'information, des allégations dans des documents publics où il y a des allégations d'ingérence étrangère qui touchent la chefferie, son propre chefferie pour le parti. Et il n'a rien fait. Elle a dit non à recevoir son code de sécurité. Elle a dit non à plus d'informations pour protéger notre démocratie. Et maintenant, les libéraux, le fait qu'ils ont maintenant dit qu'il y a des concerns avec M. Arya Chandra, ils auraient su ça depuis longtemps. Ils auraient su ça depuis longtemps et ils auraient dû agir depuis longtemps. Et le fait qu'ils ont laissé quelqu'un comme ça dans le caucus du gouvernement, d'entendre les détails comme un député du gouvernement, ça montre encore un parti qui veut défendre le parti plus que le pays. Et ça, c'est mauvais.
And Mr. Singh, you have previously called homicide allegations linked to the Indian government deeply disturbing. So how would you handle the relationship with the Indian government in the event you were to become this country's prime minister?
Well, we would operate with the foundational principles of human rights. We want to work with other countries. We want open lines of communication and diplomacy, but we want it based on the respect and dignity of human rights. If a country is violating human rights, we need to criticize it. We need to be very clear-eyed and confident in our convictions. If you violate human rights, we're going to criticize that. We're going to call that out. We expect our allies and countries we work with to respect the dignity of life, to respect the rights of people to dissent, to raise concerns, to be critical of the government, and we expect people to be free to do so. And so we would work with countries and governments with that principle in mind. We want to have relations with the world, but we want it done in a manner that respects dignity of life and human rights.
Thank you very much. Next question.
Hi, Mr. Singh. Marina von Stackelberg from CBC Television. You and Pierre Poilievre were both in Hamilton last night. He held a rally that had thousands of people. You had a campaign office opening that had a few dozen. What does this say about the support for the New Democrats right now, especially in an area where the NDP has traditionally counted on support?
Well, we're proud of the strong roots that we have here in Hamilton. We've got incredible members of parliament and members of provincial parliament that represent this community. Monique Taylor was a powerful voice in the legislature at the provincial level. We have a strong history and tradition of New Democrats fighting for the people of Hamilton, and we're going to continue with that tradition. I want folks in Hamilton to know, if you want someone that's going to fight for you, vote for Monique. If you want someone that's going to fight for universal health care, keep it public, and fight back against privatization, vote New Democrat. If you believe we need to take on big corporate landlords like Brookfield Investments, the former company of Mark Carney, that's going to stop them from ripping you off, vote NDP. If you want someone that's going to be on your side every single day, not on the side of billionaires or rich CEOs, vote NDP. Oui, bien sûr. On a des racines tellement fortes ici à Hamilton. On est fiers de ça. Ma collègue et mon amie Monique Taylor était une voix puissante dans la législature en Ontario depuis longtemps. On est fiers qu'elle est notre candidat maintenant. On a une tradition de défendre les gens ici à Hamilton. Donc, si vous voulez quelqu'un qui va se battre pour vous, par les PDG, vote NPD ici à Hamilton. Si vous voulez quelqu'un qui va défendre vos intérêts, défendre votre famille et pas les profits des grandes entreprises, vote NPD. Si vous voulez défendre notre système de santé entièrement public et universel, vote NPD.
We've heard you say these kind of things over the last few days, but polls continue to show that the New Democrat support is slipping. Are you considering changing your tact or approaching things differently in this campaign from what you've been doing in the last few days?
We're 3 days in. and we're letting folks know that there's an important choice in this campaign. And I'm proud of that choice because we are the only party that's in it for you 100%. And I want folks to know when you're going to make that choice, when you're going to vote, look at the other parties and who they're in it for. Look at Mark Carney. Who is he really in it for? We've got more and more examples showing you that he's not in it for you. Sadly, he's in it for the former company that he worked for. He's in it for the super rich. He wants to make them profits off of your backs. And I think that's not the right thing. I think that's bad for people. And you look at Pierre Poilievre, he wants to cut your services, cut the things you need to give bigger tax breaks to the super rich. I think that's wrong. I think that's wrong. And if you want someone that's going to fight for you, it's going to lower your bills, someone that's going to build homes you can afford, vote NDP.
Thank you very much. Next question.
I'm asking you specifically about your tactics here.
Yeah, we're going to continue. We're going to continue to let people know the choice in this election. There's an important choice in this election, and people need to know what that is. You got to know your choices here. Mark Carney, who's he in it for? I want you to think about that. Look at his track record. Look at what he's been doing. More and more information is coming out, changing the registration of his funds to avoid paying taxes, helping Brookfield Investments profit off the backs of hardworking Canadians. He is not in it for you. Pierre Poilievre wants to cut the things you need. It's going to cost you more. We're in it for you.
Thank you. Next question.
Good morning, Kelly Botello, CHCH News. Going off of that question, are you concerned about what the polls are showing? And I know we're only 3 days into this election campaign, but are you concerned?
3 days in, and we want people to know the choice. I'm really excited about the opportunity in front of people. There is an important choice. You Democrats, we're in it for you. We're not in it for the billionaires. Mark Carney is literally showing you again and again. More and more examples are building that he is in it for the billionaires. He's in it for the rich. And Pierre Poilievre is showing you exactly what he wants to do. He wants to cut your services, and it's going to cost you more, all to give big tax breaks to the billionaires. That's what conservatives do. We want to lower your bills. We have a tax plan that's for the middle class, not for the super rich. We want to lower your bills and fight for you.
What are your thoughts on those who are considering what they believe to be a strategic vote in this election?
I would say that if you want someone that's going to fight for you, the right vote is someone who's shown you again and again that they're a fighter. In Hamilton, Monique Taylor is that fighter. We have seen in this minority government, the only ones that fought for working class people, for everyday families, for the middle class, and delivered were New Democrats. We delivered dental care and pharmacare. If you want someone that's going to fight in this next parliament for you, vote for a New Democrat. If you live in Hamilton, vote for a New Democrat. It is clear we are the ones that fight for you. We don't spend any time fighting for the billionaires or the super rich. That's not who we're in it for. If you want to vote for someone that's going to help the billionaires, sure, you got Mark Carney, you got Pierre Poilievre. Two options, different takes on that same story. We're in it for you.
Thank you. Next question.
Good morning, Mr. Singh. David Thurton from CBC News. Your income tax cut promises to save tax filers $505. That's less than what the Conservative plan is promising to save Canadians. Are you worried that people are going to look at your plan and think that, hey, it's not as good as the Conservatives, they're more in it for me than the NDP is?
One is look at the entirety of our plan. Our plan is a tax cut when it comes to income tax, as well as a GST cut, a permanent GST cut. Together, we are helping out the middle class far more than the other parties. Our focus is on the middle class, middle and low income folks. We have a fair approach that helps those that need it. We're not trying to help out millionaires more the way Pierre Poilievre's plan does and the way Mark Carney's plan does. Both of their plans help out millionaires more than the middle class. I think that's wrong and unfair. At a time when people are really hurting, people are feeling like, I don't know how I'm going to make ends meet. Michelle's talked about how she's got to make different choices when she buys groceries, how her rent's been going up, how it really squeezes her budget. She's got to work even more hours to take care of the bills, and then she feels like she's letting down her kid. That feeling is a feeling of a lot of people out there. A lot of parents I talk to feel the same way. We're going to help you out. We're going to help you out with a tax plan that helps out the middle class the most, not the millionaires and not the billionaires.
Just as a follow-up, one thing that we were wondering is that you're proposing to increase the guaranteed income supplement. That is already quite generous already, and You know, the government has been criticized for having policies that are very generous to seniors. What are you going to do for young people who are struggling at this point? Where is their basic income boost?
Well, the guaranteed income supplement goes to the poorest seniors. It is literally the seniors that are living in poverty. So it is a very targeted support that helps out just those folks. If you look at Pierre Poilievre's plan, his plan would help out a senior that retires after having been the CEO of a Fortune 500 company just as much as it helps out someone that actually might be the most in need. That's their approach. They're going to give lots of money to those that may not need it. We're going to only help those who need it most. But that's why our plan is a GST removal plan. So for young people who have to obviously buy a cell phone plan, an internet plan, we're taking the GST permanently off of that. For young families that have got to buy clothes for their kids, we're taking the GST off of that. Our plan is one that helps out people in a way that folks need it on their regular bills, on their essentials, as well as a tax cut. Together, our plan is one that's better for the middle class. It's better for young people. It's better for the people that we're fighting for, which is everyday working families.
Last question.
Good morning, Mr. Singh. David Baxter, Canadian Press. We know the GIS pitch you're putting forward would cost $4 billion, but what does that mean for the average individual increase? How much would that be for folk?
Well, from our analysis, it would lift every senior out of poverty. The increase that we're proposing would help take seniors who right now in our country, some of the poorest and most vulnerable, are literally struggling to put food on the table and are living in poverty. It would lift them out of poverty immediately, and we're proud of that. But that's what we need to do. In a country as rich as ours, no senior should be living in poverty. And we're here at a senior center today. We know how important seniors are, and those that are vulnerable will be supported by our program. In contrast with Pierre Poilievre's plan, which doesn't actually target those who need it most, doesn't help the most vulnerable seniors.
Do you have a dollar figure on about how much more monthly that would be for seniors on GIS?
Yeah, we'll give you those details. Our kind of policy experts will give you the exact amount that it'll give you.
Concludes the press conference. Merci beaucoup. Ça conclut la conférence de presse. Bonne journée.